Народно-Освободительное движение Союза Советских Социалистических Республик.
The Soviet of Ministers of the USSR, State Committee on the State of Emergency. August 4, 2023. Decree. The State Committee for the State of Emergency of the USSR, as the state military and political body of the Special Conference with expanded powers SCSE of the USSR, expresses its gratitude and respect to all great, united, sovereign Soviet people of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and informs of the following. The criminal terrorist occupation regime in Kiev is taking steps that are perceived as a crime and an act of vandalism. On August 3, 2023, the dismantling of the State Emblem of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, from the monumental Motherland, began in the city of Kiev. The monumental sculpture is located on the right bank of the Dnieper, on the sovereign territory of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. It was installed in 1981 on the occasion of Victory Day over fascism in the Great Patriotic War of 1941-1945. The monument is dedicated to the heroism of the great, united, sovereign Soviet people who made a colossal contribution to the liberation of his homeland, the Soviet Union, including the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic, from fascism. Propaganda, neo-fascist mass media of the West are strong to support the occupation regime of Ukraine. It's impossible to deny the presence of neo-fascist ideology, as a result of which streets are renamed in cities and towns of Ukraine in honor of Ukrainian fascist Bandera and Shushkevich, traitors to their homeland wear SS symbols. The great sovereign country is the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Its multinational, great, united, sovereign Soviet people liberated the world from anti-human occupants, invaders, terrorists, separatists and murderers in the face of neo-fascist Germany and criminal clans. The terrorist organization Cabal restored and nurtured in 20th century traitors to the human race, the Jesuits. The dismantling of the state emblem of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and the renaming of the monument is perceived as an act of separatism and terrorism against the state symbols, means an attempt to change history. It also is state crime against the sacred symbols of our people and our motherland. The dismantling of the state symbols of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, is our ritual nature. The occupational Kiev regime, by its actions, commits a crime directed against God, the sovereign, truth, humanity, and heroes. Winners, people's defenders of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics in the Second World War. The most cruel of wars that people on earth have ever had to wage was won by the united, multinational sovereign Soviet people. The bloody war turned the life of the entire Soviet people of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. For all nations, clans and tribes, for every Soviet citizen, it has become truly patriotic, sacred. The war demanded the exertion of all forces and resources of the country, subjected to the most severe tortures and manifestations of the great consciousness of the people. Along with the material strength, tanks, planes, a huge spiritual charge was thrown, a huge people's soul which made it possible to survive and win this deadly liberation war. During the Second World War, when traitors, enemies of the people, neo-fascists of all stripes in Europe willingly collaborated with the invaders and took on the shameful role of policemen and executioners of their own people, it was the Soviet people who rallied to fight against the invaders. We must not forget that they fought under the state red flag, the future banner of victory and the symbols of our great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Therefore, everything connected with the Great Patriotic War is sacred and has eternal unquestioned authority. It was the great Soviet people who defeated the hordes of Nazi invaders as their allies. This fact is undeniable. In the conditions of a total lie, when history has been turned into a political tool, it's important for new generations to know the truth about the Great Patriotic War, which brings up the sacred spirit of patriotism in the younger generation. We are rightfully proud of the great victory won by the great multinational, united, sovereign Soviet people in the Great Patriotic War over Nazi Germany. Victory in the Great Patriotic War, this is not only a historical date, but a reminder of the price paid by our people for peace and prosperity in the world. We must remember our history and those who gave their lives to save this sacred motherland and the whole world. The State Committee for the State of Emergency of the USSR, as the state military and political body of the Special Conference with expanded powers, as the supreme state authority of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, based on the decree of the Supreme National Assembly of the USSR, GP USSR number PVK 35, dated on 24th of April 2023, by the law of the sovereign on the basis of the norms of international law, proclaiming the inalienable rights of the entire great, united, sovereign Soviet people on the sovereign territory of the great sovereign country, the Union of the Soviet Socialist Republics, and in the entire world, hereby decides: this crime committed by the occupying Kiev regime is to be declared as a global terrorist act against the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and its great, united, multinational sovereign Soviet people. All participants and accomplices of this crime are declared state criminals who will bear personal criminal liability according to the laws of the war which provide for capital punishment. On the basis of numerous state crimes committed by the criminal, occupational, separatist terrorist private company Ukrainian People's Republic, Ukraine, hereinafter UPR, Ukraine, and all its corporate organizations illegally performing the functions of state authorities as a sovereign territory of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, the corporate entity UPR Ukraine and all its corporate sub-entities illegally performing the functions of state authorities, as well as accomplices and instigators, to deprive them of the right of subjectivity, to recognize them outside the divine law of creation and outside the law, and declare them occupiers, international terrorists, separatists, extremists, state and war criminals who bear criminal, public and personal responsibility under the laws of wartime, which provide for capital punishment. To the State Security Committee of the USSR, KGB of the USSR, the Soviet Red Army and the Navy, all counterterrorism and law enforcement state and non-state organizations, all the great, united, multinational sovereign Soviet people, to all subjects in the sovereign territory of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and in the entire world, immediately begin to conduct a global counterterrorism special operation to expose and identify, with subsequent destruction, the enemies of the great, single, sovereign Soviet people. When conducting a counterterrorism special operation to prevent the manifestation and even more, so the execution of any threats against sovereign citizens of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. In the event that any political crime, provocative actions are revealed against sovereign citizens of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, throughout the sovereign territory of the USSR and in the entire world, such actions will be qualified as crimes bearing criminal, public and personal liability in the military field tribunal of the USSR, and, according to the laws of war, providing for capital punishment at any level. This decree has the status of an absolute sovereign legislative act, and is subject to full, mandatory execution of the sovereign territory of the great sovereign country, the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, and throughout the world, by the right of the sovereign, and in accordance with the international rules of law. This decree comes into force from the moment of its signing. Chairman of the State Emergency Committee of the USSR, Army General Satoshiyev, Commissioner of the State Emergency Committee of the USSR, Lieutenant General Chernomorov, Secretaries of the State Emergency Committee of the USSR, Major General Irina Gorbacheva.
Народно-Освободительное движение Союза Советских Социалистических Республик.